What is up, everybody? How are you doing today? Happy Tuesday, September 22nd. Another NFL week in the books. Welcome to the Fantasy Tap. My name is Michael. This is John.
How you doing? Sorry, nice little pause there.
Yeah, gotta get you in here.
Yeah, I hear you there. So I had a great weekend, only lost one of my leagues, and that was to someone who put up 232 points in just your standard little type of league. Would have beat 7 out of the other 12 people if it wasn't for him. So I would say it's a pretty good week.
Yeah, it was a great week. Josh Jacobs, man, tore my heart out. All I needed was a touchdown.
He had a great day, just
He
not
had
enough
he had a very good day.
rushing-wise. Couldn't find the end zone, but
Overall, it was
just
pretty
not
good.
enough for you.
Yeah. How many rushing yards did he have? Let's see. I'm pulling it up right now. 88 plus 3 catches, 17 yards.
Getting that
Just
pass catching work.
Just needed the dang touchdown. That's it. Would have won that league. Oh, well. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Fantasy Tap. We are very excited to have you here today. We are drinking on the Miami Weiss, the Hefeweizen style ale out of Miami Beer Company. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool can. All like
Nice little
hipster.
80s vibe.
Yeah.
Yeah, liking it a lot. It's got a little sweet aftertaste to it. I really enjoy. But we'll get back to that later. Theirs was an incredible week in the NFL.
It was a bloodbath.
It was a bloodbath and a knee targeting phenomenon. So many people down, losing a bunch of stars. A lot of people losing their first 1 and 2 overall picks, possibly in a lot of leagues. Christian McCaffrey going down with a high ankle sprain. He should be out 4 to 6 weeks. This might give some bumps to Mike Davis in the backfield. He did have a pretty good showing in the receiving game when he did get that work. And then Saquon Barkley as well going down with an ACL for this season. Dion Lewis coming in to take over that role in that game. Possibly Wayne Gallman coming in as well.
Yeah, and they are hosting Devontae Freeman there. So
yeah, but he's been getting shopped around the whole league. Hasn't been able to come to any terms with any team that's been looking at him.
And this, I think, would be the time it happens.
That's true. That's true.
But Raheem Mostert, Tevin Coleman, good night. Both of them, knee injuries. Mostert has an MCL sprain, and I don't have the exact.
No,
it just
says there's some sort of knee designation on him.
And yeah, so 2 to 4 weeks for Mostert and week to week for Coleman.
Yeah, it's week to week for Coleman. It does say several weeks, meaning that it's going to be at least a couple, but it's not specified how long yet. They don't really exactly know what's going on with him, and I believe it's just some sort of muscle injury.
Pick up Jet McKinnon.
Yeah, absolutely someone you're going to want to be looking into. Going to get a huge bump and showed he can take over that workload. Someone else going down as the running backs. Cam Akers took a shot to the ribs and left the game. The severity initially wasn't determined, but it's coming out now that it doesn't look too bad, and he's possibly looking at a week 3 play. But Darrell Henderson should be getting the bulk load of that backfield right now. Yep,
100%. And, I mean, even if Cam is back this week, I don't see him taking, a big enough share away for Darrell to really do anything.
No, he hasn't really been getting a huge workload as it is, even when he's there. And since Darrell Henderson wasn't coming in week 1 fully healthy, you're just going to keep riding the hot hand. He played extremely well, only getting 12 carries and seeing 80 yards.
Mm-hmm.
So he did great. You're going to keep him going.
Well, this is the thing about that backfield. Like you said, they're riding the hot hand. So if this week it could be Malcolm Brown.
It could be. I'm thinking it's Henderson, though.
I'm hoping so.
Yeah. Someone else, Paris Campbell, someone who showed out in week 1, is going to be out for a few more weeks. Went down this week.
The knee injury.
With another knee injury. We've seen him all over the place. Possibly giving a bump to Michael Pittman in the backfield. T.Y. is not looking too great out there, so I don't think it's going to do too much for him.
It's because Phillip Rivers has a duck arm.
Rashad Perryman also going down with an ankle injury. He's looking week to week. So looking for someone in that Jets backfield, the Jets receiving corps.
Barrios.
Barrios had a great showing this week, getting a little touchdown upside too.
Yep. Yeah, I like Braxton Barrios there a little bit. Pick him up. Cortland Sutton, he's out for the season, unfortunately. Tore his ACL. not good, man. Coming off that shoulder injury, now his knee, just bad luck for him.
Yeah, that whole team's kind of taken a lot of very hurtful and painful injuries. My guy himself, Drew Lock, is going to have a hard time finishing in those top 12 quarterbacks this year, but he might be able to do it when he comes back. Currently out with a severe rotator cuff strain to the point where they're going to look at him in 2 weeks and reevaluate him to see what he's looking like. So we can't put a time designation on that. So we'll just have to see what happens. Jeff Driscoll will be filling in for him, and he actually did do decent with what he got. Not someone you're going to be picking up or looking at yet, but maybe in a deep two-quarterback league or something like that.
Yeah, and in a 2-quarterback league, I mean, you might as well have him as your third quarterback. You know, especially if you're the Drew Lock owner, go and pick him up 100%. Devontae Adams, he does have a hamstring injury. They're saying it's not serious, and he is looking to play on Sunday, but just keep an eye on that. They do play the Saints this week, so he'll be going up against Marshawn Lattimore, one of the best cornerbacks in the game, so pretty tough matchup for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Tyrod Taylor did not play on Sunday, letting Justin Herbert come in and ball out. He had a reaction to an injection he got in the chest pre-game and actually ended up going to the hospital. So Justin Herbert only had 10 minutes before the game started, and he knew that he was going to be the starting quarterback.
Yep, kind of surprised everybody.
Something else that's going to be surprising everyone is Lynn said that he is the starter as long as he's ready to go, which really, really sucks. We saw the entire Chargers offense, everyone that we expected to do well, actually be relevant and have decent games. I know Keenan Allen made himself relevant. Hunter Henry had a okay game, and then
Austin Eckler and
Joshua Kelly both balled out pretty well. So kind of what you're used to in that offense. I like Justin Herbert there, and if he plays, I'm going to start playing more of the Chargers players. But as long as Tyrod's quarterback, I'm staying away.
Yep. Yes, sir. Yes. Agreed. And then last but not least, Sterling Shepard. He does have turf toe, and he is out indefinitely. Fire up Darius Slayton, baby.
Darius Slayton and Golden Tate. Golden Tate got a nice little showing this weekend as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, right. and Saquon's out there in that offense, so that offense is really struggling for playmakers. So I like Darius Slayton. I like Golden Tate. And, I mean, I don't mind, Evan Ingram. As long as he can stay healthy, he should start to produce a little bit. He did see 8 targets and put up 9 points in a half PPR league, so it's all right.
Yeah. And then, of course, this week we had a great amount of beautiful games, a lot of upsets, especially going on in today. The Bears playing the Giants, starting off our Sunday games. I ended up really not seeing too much coming out of Daniel Jones. With Saquon going out, Dion Lewis got a nice little hefty workload there. Really only standout receivers for the Giants might have been Golden State showing for 5 for 5 yards, for 47 yards. Let's see what that offense does moving forward. Evan Ingram, as just mentioned, did pretty well. Mitch Trubisky, not doing great, not doing bad. Allen Robinson, absolute dud again.
Yep. It's sad. He did start off the season last year, though, slow. So I think they'll turn it around a little bit. And he's not the only offensive threat or offensive weapon. Anthony Miller was younger last year. They got Darnell Mooney there in the and they're finally using David Montgomery. He had a good game.
He had a good game, yeah. 16 carries for 82 yards, 3 for 3, 46 yards, 45 yards in the air and a touchdown. Did get a tackle as well. No points for that, but it's a little swagger.
Yeah.
One of the highest scoring points of the game of the week. One of the highest scoring games of the week. Holy crap.
You okay over there?
Struggling here. So that would be the Falcons playing the Cowboys, which was an absolute nail biter down to the finish. The Cowboys ended up finishing on top.
Did you see that onside kick?
I didn't. I was flying. I missed all of the 1 o'clock games in the first half with all the 4 o'clock games.
They kicked the ball on the ground and it spun up to the 10-yard mark. The Falcons are sitting there like what do we do? And the Cowboys box them out and jump on the ball right at the 10-yard line.
Beautiful.
It was, crazy, ridiculous. But Cowboys pulled it out in the last second. Dak Prescott balled. The first half, it was pretty rough for him, though. I had him starting in a few leagues. He ran for 3 touchdowns on 5 carries, and he only threw for 1 touchdown. So they did struggle with fumbling in the beginning. First quarter or first half, they had 4 fumbles, 3 lost fumbles. So, not good. Not good there.
CeeDee Lamb showing out amazingly, going for over 100 yards, as well as Amari Cooper. Everyone is just lighting up the Falcons. You're going to be wanting to play as long as you have a decent quarterback back there. You're going to want to be playing any receivers or quarterback you have playing against the Falcons, at least for this first half of the season so far.
And Dalton Schultz taking that place of Blake Jarwin, 10 targets, 9 receptions, a touchdown, 1 tackle, and a fumble. Not good.
No, I think this would have been a great game for Blake Jarwin if he would have been able to make it in. But the Falcons the Falcons defense let up a great amount of points last weekend as well to Greg Olsen.
Yeah, Greg Olsen.
Greg Olsen, but he was able to find the end zone and score a touchdown as well. So, again, another thing you're going to want to be doing is those tight ends. The Falcons are just point machines to get if you're playing against them. But the Falcons themselves, Julio Jones, kind of a dud. Looks like he's playing with a little bit of an injury designation. Questionable on the hamstring there. Looking possibly great for Russell Gage and Calvin Ridley, who's definitely wide receiver 1.
Russell Gage had that pass to him. He threw. Yeah. It would have been like a 50-yard.
It would have been, but it would have been nice. But Calvin Ridley's our wide receiver 1 in the NFL at the moment, looking absolutely great out there. Matt Ryan, again, doing pretty decent. Great, solid mid-tier quarterback that's just consistent. Looking for that almost every week out of him. Todd Gurley is looking like a bust, in my opinion, only coming out there with 61 yards. Not really getting too much out of him this year. What are you expecting more from him or what?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't. I think it'll be kind of like this. He'll have his games, but predicting him, as soon as he does, trade him. As soon as because he will have, a couple solid games. As soon as he does, put 1 or 2 together, trade him away. See if you can get like a younger or a lower tier, maybe one of the rookies, DeAndre Swift, who doesn't have like the backfield to themselves, somebody like that. But yeah, Todd Gurley, it's not looking good.
Not at all.
So, moving on to the Detroit Lions versus the Green Bay Packers. This was another high-scoring game, 42-21. The Lions were actually beating the Packers at one point.
At one point.
Yeah.
But, when you got Matt Stafford back there.
No, when you got Aaron Rodgers back there.
No, Aaron Rodgers, like we were talking about, has just been on a tear week in, week out. And he's definitely getting that fire under his butt with the new quarterback coming in.
It also helped that Aaron Jones ran for 2 rushing touchdowns and 168 yards.
On only 18 carries.
Yep, not including another touchdown through the air. So Aaron Jones, we saw it last year. This is what he does. He puts up those multiple touchdown games. Very hard to predict, but if you started him, if you had him, you feel great.
Yeah, absolutely. Last year himself, he was kind of hit or miss sharing the backfield with Jamal Williams. But this year, he's definitely gotten that number 1 role. And with Devontae Adams out, you should be getting a lot from him. They're going to be relying on him a lot more, being that they don't have any more standout wide receivers. So if Devontae Adams does miss any more games this year, you know that Aaron Jones is in for a heavier workload. And if he's with an injury designation, you might even want to be thinking he's going to be getting a slight bump too. Last year, Devontae Adams missed weeks 5, 6, 7, and 8. And those are the weeks that Aaron Jones or Jamal Adams actually ended up balling out. Aaron Jones putting up 41 points again against Kansas City last year when Devontae Adams was out. So definitely going to be looking heavier into him if Devontae's missing at all this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. But hopefully, like we said at the beginning, hopefully it's just a minor injury and he'll be able to play Sunday and get more involved because that's what we need. Especially after that week 1 performance. Moving on to the Lions, Matt Stafford, okay. 21 points in a 4-point league. Not gonna lose you your league or your week, but definitely not gonna win it for you. DeAndre Swift, Kerryon Johnson, and AP all split carries. DeAndre Swift had 5. He was involved in the passing game the most out of all 3 of those. He had 5 targets and 5 receptions for 60 yards, which is nice. Kerryon Johnson had 8 carries, and AP had 7 carries. So that's really a timeshare backfield there. The good thing, if you own Swift, he's going to get involved in the passing game, even though he dropped a game-winning touchdown the other week one. Yeah. But that's his upside right there. He's got big playability, and I think as the season progresses, they're going to have to keep him in there on passing downs and more in general throughout the game because Matt Patricia, he's got to win. If he doesn't, he may be the first coach fired.
It's absolutely possible. He hasn't been able to do much year in, year out stinker, but they do have possibly Kenny Golladay coming back this week, so let's see what they're able to do.
Fingers crossed. Fire him up.
This is their chance for it. But next game on the block is going to be the Minnesota Vikings playing against the Indianapolis Colts. Kirk Cousins is not looking like
he doesn't like that. I don't like that. You like that?
What? Kirk Cousins?
Have you not seen that meme of Kirk Cousins?
I don't think I have.
All right, you got to look it up. Everybody, they know what I'm talking about. He comes out the locker room screaming, "You like that? You like that?"
What is that for?
It's like it's a staple of his. Okay. But anyways, Kirk Cousins, 113 passing yards. That's passing yards. And 3 interceptions. Got you a whopping 1.52 points in a 4-point touchdown league. Actually, it really doesn't matter what kind of league you're in. He didn't throw any touchdowns. So 1.52 points, not very good. And if you take away for incompletions, you might have gotten negative. Dalvin Cook did what he could, did score a touchdown. He also had a 2-point conversion. He was 14 carries for 63 yards, so pretty good or decent there for Cook and what the offense can do. And
I think that's pretty awesome. He's only got 14 carries, but the entire offense only had 18 carries. So he got the large majority of the workload.
Yeah, you expect that.
If the quarterback's not throwing 3 interceptions, the team's going to be getting more downs to play. Their offense is just dying just on the fact that they're not getting on the field, and it's killing them. Mm-hmm. Luckily, Dalvin Cook's finding himself relevant. And Justin Jefferson, someone who's really getting hurt by this because he was a rookie that was in for a big year, finding himself efficient when he catches the ball, and this week he caught the ball every time it was thrown to him, which I think is a great showing. If the Vikings do decide to go to another quarterback route and they find someone that can be a little relevant, possibly he could get a big bump that way. But other than that,
who they should have signed? Cam Newton. Adam Thielen, you can say pretty bad day for him. 8 targets, 3 receptions, 31 yards. Not Adam Thielen-esque. And then Irv Smith, very quiet. Dan Bailey was competing up there for the highest fantasy value on that team. Their kicker. So put him in your lineup. Phillip Rivers, another down fantasy day. He had an interception, 1 touchdown. He didn't do much, to be honest. Jonathan Taylor, though, that's why he was one of our must-starts. Balled out, 101 rushing yards on 26 carries and a touchdown. Plus, he got 2 passes, which was nice. Add that, especially if you're in a PPR league. A couple extra points there. And then Nyheim Hines, 1 reception for 4 yards.
Yeah, it looks like the Colts decided after losing to the Jaguars that they're not going to follow the Phillip Rivers offense where they're going to be trying to pass the ball out of the backfield a lot. They're going to go with that Colts offense where they're going to be running it down your throat with Jonathan Taylor there. He got more carries than Phillip Rivers got passing attempts this week.
Very nice.
So I think Jonathan Taylor's just going to continue to be that offense for them. They see what they have in him now with that offensive line there as well.
Now, I do think that Nyheim Hines will have fantasy relevant weeks, especially with Paris Campbell out. They will need an extra target there, so don't go dropping Nyheim Hines just yet.
No,
let's see how it plays out the next couple weeks. Hold on
to him. This game script was super run heavy because they were playing from ahead for most of the game, as well as playing with a lead. So this was a super run-heavy game just due to that. If they're playing from behind and they need to actually go forward to the field, they are going to open up that option. They do have the quarterback to play out of the back, to play that pass game out of the backfield. So it's going to be a game script kind of thing, and you might be able to predict that some weeks. So you're going to want to hold on to him and not give him up too much. But someone else who found themselves to have a great day, though, on that team was Mo Alley Cox.
Mo Alley.
A lot of people predicted it because Trey Burton was out. Jack Doyle was out this week. And the Colts just seem to be a team that do love their tight ends.
Well, Phillip Rivers throwing to Antonio Gates.
And even Hunter Henry when he was healthy with that team. So great to see that for him. Possibly someone you want to look into if Trey Burton and Jack Doyle continue to be out and not healthy. Huge body guy, absolute monster.
And he's got a pretty favorable matchup this week against the Jets.
Got a really cool name too.
Mo Alley Cox.
I swear I'm not a child. But so great to see that for them. Great to see that for him. And then personally, my game of the week, almost got the prediction right. The Miami Dolphins.
I told you we didn't have a chance.
It's only 3 points. Miami Dolphins almost come out with the win against the Buffalo Bills, 31-28. Josh Allen is absolutely tearing it up.
Currently, quarterback 2, I believe, on the season. Let me see, pulling it up. Yeah, quarterback 2, right behind Russell Wilson, barely behind Russell Wilson. I mean, he's balling. He had a great day.
4 touchdowns.
He's a must.
417 yards.
Yeah, and people say he can't throw. He had a great day. Stephon Diggs also, just a fabulous day. John Brown as well. You know, he's still getting involved in the offense, which is great. You know, he's going to be a solid flex play, I believe, throughout the year, especially matchup. It will be matchup contingent, but they didn't run the ball too much. I mean, the running backs only had 18 carries combined. I really thought this was going to be a day for Zach Moss. Another player, though, don't just go getting rid of him, because I do think he's going to have value throughout the season.
Yeah, the Dolphins were trying their hardest to win the game. So a lot of people predicted the Bucs to take an early lead and for them to be able to carry that lead forward, or the Bills, to carry that lead forward and rely on the running game just to kill clock and end the game. So when the Dolphins actually trying to keep up and playing ahead, or trying to play from ahead, the running backs just didn't get too much opportunity. And Devin Singletary did get his 2 out of 2 receptions on 3 attempts. So Zach Moss will find his relevance in the red zone and on games where they can run the ball. And something you'll be able to predict in the future, and you're going to want to hold on to him for that.
Yep. Ryan Fitzpatrick had a pretty good day. Finished 328 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2-point conversion, as well as 3 rushing attempts for 12 yards. Didn't turn the ball over, which was nice. That's one reason why Miami was in the game. Myles Gaskin proves to be the number 1 back there in Miami. 7 carries, 46 yards, and he's heavily involved in the passing game, which is nice. 7 targets, 6 receptions for 36 yards. Jordan Howard and Matt Breida both had quiet days. Devontae Parker, I was fading him because of that Tre'Davious White play or matchup, but he did get in the end zone, which was nice and helped push him over that into that double-digit point total. And Isaiah Ford, somebody else to keep an eye on there, especially if Preston Williams can't get going. Isaiah Ford had 9 targets and 76 yards, led the team in receiving yards. So maybe keep an eye on. I know not many people own him. And then Mike Gesicki, what a day. He is currently the tight end 1, I believe, or he finished tight end 1 this week. And he's leading the NFL in yards for a tight end at the moment. Yes.
He's balling his butt off there, and Isaiah Ford is owned in 0.1% of rosters in ESPN leagues. So I think he's someone that could be extremely relevant and continues to see these target totals. Mm-hmm. Obviously, if he found the end zone this week, we would definitely have him. Everyone would be talking about him. So let's think of him as someone you guys want to keep in the back of your mind. The Dolphins did find the end zone 4 times this week. So
yeah, if you have an extra spot, go pick him up. You don't want to have to spend up on him after he balls out and gets that touchdown. Then everybody's talking about him.
Might close your ears for a second, because in my dynasty leagues, I was currently rostering Mohamed Sanu just as a why not? Because I had the roster spot, and I may or may not be picking up Isaiah Ford with that.
We may or may not be. Thanks, Sean. I appreciate it. But yeah, and then Mike Gesicki, like I said, had a very, very good game. 23 points in a full PPR league. So currently tight end 6th on the year.
Yeah. Now, one of the most injury-plagued teams went up against one of the worst teams in the NFL. The San Francisco 49ers got their knees taken out left and right, quarterback taken down, defense taken down. It's hurtful there.
It's rough.
So Jimmy G, while in, was doing very well, but ended up going down for an injury. I don't know if we put the injury designation on there earlier. But
sprained ankle.
He sprained his ankle. Is he week to week?
He's out for a couple weeks.
Okay, he's out for a couple weeks, according to him.
3 weeks. Oh wait. I'm sorry. I apologize. He's not ruled out for week 3 yet. Doesn't sound promising.
Okay, so it doesn't sound promising. I would call him week to week at this point. But while he was doing very good, playing against the Jets defense, not something that's super hard to do. But someone that was really balling out on just a handful of carries, Raheem Mostert opened the game with an 80-yard rushing touchdown.
Loved it.
And then followed it up with another nice little long run. Got 8 carries for 92 yards, and that touchdown is mentioned. 2 for 2 on receiving with receptions, going for 15 yards in the air before he went down. Tevin Coleman going for 14 carries before he went down. And then Jerick McKinnon getting his 3 carries for 77 yards and a touchdown.
Beautiful.
Going to be finding himself as that number 1 back with both of the other running backs out for multiple weeks.
I think the biggest surprise, though, was Jordan Reed.
Yeah, I mean, you want to call it a surprise, but Jordan Reed, we've seen year after year, while healthy, can be a really great fantasy asset. And with George Kittle out, you can expect it from him. They don't have many receiving options. I was a little disappointed by Brandon Ayuk. I did think that he was going to get more looks, but Kendrick Bourne led the team with targets, getting 5, but catching 4 of them for 67 yards, looking pretty decent. Again, if he would have gotten in the end zone, we'd be talking about him a little bit more today too.
Yep. Braxton Berrios is really the only fantasy-relevant player we can talk about on the Jets. He had a solid day. 8 targets, 6 receptions, 59 yards, and a touchdown. So see if he's out there. I mean, I don't want any part of the Jets offense. I think it's going to be up and down.
No, they have too many players out that are going to be coming in and out as well. I mean, Jamison Crowder, Denzel Mims, Rashad Perryman, and as they get flexed in and out of or put in and out of the roster more.
If they're not injured.
If they're not injured, but they're going
to be. Right now they're injured.
But Denzel Mims is on IR right now, but I think he should be coming off it with the next couple weeks.
Yeah.
So when he comes in, that offense is going to be, that whole game script's going to be changing. When Le'Veon Bell comes back, that game script's going to be changing. Mm-hmm. Just stay away from them.
Yep. Moving on to the Rams-Eagles. The Rams put a whooping on the Eagles. They don't look like a team that just won the Super Bowl a couple years ago. Miles Sanders, though, did ball out, had a great day, almost broke that 100-yard mark. He was 20 carries and for 95 yards and a touchdown. He did have a fumble, but he did recover. He's also getting some work in the passing game, 7 targets, 3 receptions, which is nice to see. None of the receivers there are doing much of anything. I mean, Deshaun did lead the team in targets with 9, and he did have 64 yards. He does have that big playability. Carson Wentz is just regressing too much without the offensive line there, and he's not the Carson Wentz of old.
No, Carson Wentz was a dud, even on the Super Bowl year. I mean, I don't think they would have made it to the Super Bowl had it been him playing through the playoffs, but that's just me. But Jared Goff did actually have a great game this week, going 267 yards with 3 touchdowns on 27 attempts, and also rushing for 13 yards. As we said earlier, Cam Akers did go down in this game, leading the backfield with Darrell Henderson on 12 carries for 81 yards, finding himself a touchdown, as well as 2 catches. Malcolm Brown did get 11 carries, only for 47 yards, but not finding himself much relevance. Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, both people that were expected to have big games going into that Jets team, but they did need to run the ball just to kill the clock out. Barely flexible plays, not very good, but not terrible. Decent games for him. The only really player that stood out this week would be Tyler Higbee, getting 5 catches for 54 yards and 3 touchdowns.
3 TDs.
Wow. So great to see from him. If you have him, I think he's a great trade target right now. I don't think that they're going to have to rely on him as much. But I do think if you have him and he's your only tight end option, you should be pretty happy to have him.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Now, almost pulling off the upset, the Broncos, so close, almost upset the Steelers, 26-21. Both Ben Roethlisberger and, Jeff Driscoll had a solid fantasy day.
Better than Big Ben. Actually equal to Big Ben.
Yeah, about the same. Yeah, very similar. Big Ben, threw for over 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception. Jeff Driscoll did the same with an extra 2-point conversion in there, or close to it. The running backs, James Conner and Melvin Gordon, had pretty solid days. Conner ran for over 106 yards, which, I don't think anybody was really expecting, to be honest, after coming off that injury. Snell, very quiet day. He did fumble, and actually Jalen Samuels finished next best. Just because he didn't have a fumble, though. And then Deontay Johnson and Chase Claypool both had days. Chase Claypool is somebody I could see getting more and more involved in the offense as the year progresses. And then Deontay Johnson, at this point, he's a must-start every week for me, especially if you drafted him as a flex player. I would love to have him as a flex player week in, week out. He had 13 targets, again, double digits. That's great. Jerry Jeudy, Courtland Sutton, like we said, unfortunately, Courtland Sutton did go down with the knee injury, but Jerry Jeudy did, had a okay, seven targets, 4 receptions for 62. He's going to be that team's wide receiver 1. And then Noah Fant got in the end zone, which helped his day get into those double-digit point totals. So I like Fant this year.
I think Fant's a must start. Week in, week out. At the moment right now, he's in a standard league finishing a tight end 2 and a tight end 3 in PPR leagues. So I do think he's someone that they have to rely on. Jerry Jeudy's looking okay. He's dropping some balls. He's not finding himself open that much. He does have the yard after catch ability, but I am seeing that the Broncos just seem to really target Noah Fant and seem to rely on him in those big play options. And
he's going to be, especially with Courtland Sutton out now. So yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, I think he's possibly a must start week in, week out at the moment. Something about Chase Claypool, he went 3 for 3 on 88 yards, but one of those catches was for 84 yards. He was really efficient in his first week. He doesn't get the ball targeted to him a lot. Week 1 getting 2 targets, and week 2 getting 2 targets. But he is super efficient. He hasn't dropped the ball yet or missed one of those targets. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that's someone you're going to keep an eye on. But I think that kind of hurt Juju's finish this week. But I do think Juju's possibly at the same value, just possibly the same value as Deontay, maybe even just slightly less. I think they're both pretty great values. And I don't think Juju had a bad game at all, going 6 for 7.
Yeah. It's gonna be a toss up for Juju. I think week in and week out. I think Deontay's really gonna be that team's wide receiver 1. Just target volume. But I don't mind having Juju. Buccaneers almost there for a minute. You thought they were going to lose the game to the Panthers, but they didn't. Neither of the quarterbacks had any fantasy relevance. It was pretty rough for Tom Brady. It was rough for Teddy Bridgewater. But Christian McCaffrey, before he went down, had a great day. He had 2 rushing touchdowns, which really helped him out. And then 4 receptions for 29 yards. He also got a tackle. And then Leonard Fournette emerged as the better running back this week. He did have a 50-yard touchdown. He also had another rushing touchdown, so 2 total. Ronald Jones did fumble the ball. He didn't lose it, but he did fumble the ball. And after that, you could tell that Bruce Arians kind of wasn't trusting him. But he did get in the end zone, too, which kind of saved his day right at that 10-point mark. Mike Evans, like we said, Chris Godwin was out. he's going to ball, and he did over 100 yards, 10 targets, 7 receptions, and a touchdown. Nobody else really on that team, tight ends included, were very fantasy relevant. DJ Moore, solid day, over 120 yards. He didn't get in the end zone, but he put up a very solid had a very solid fantasy finish. And Robbie Anderson, another pretty solid day, putting over 100, another game over 100 yards.
Yeah, so I'm really happy to see that Mike Davis is able to do so well on just a handful of receptions, getting down the field. It lets you know that even if he's not just a pure running back there for the Panthers, he is going to be able to get some pass-catching work, and they should be able to rely on him. So I like him for a waiver pickup later. And then with Christian McCaffrey out, DJ Moore should be getting relied on more often, as long as Robbie Anderson. So I think it's great for both of them, and this week just kind of showed that they're both ballers.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, going to a really high-scoring game, which nobody thought it'd be this high-scoring. Titans, Jags, 33-30. Jags just lost, but both quarterbacks balled out. Ryan Tannehill, 4 passing touchdowns, which is great. And Gardner Minshew, he did have 3 passing touchdowns as well, over almost 340 yards. And he did have 2 turnovers, but it's Gardner. He does that. But overall, great fantasy finish for the both of them. Derrick Henry did not find the end zone, and he hasn't yet. It will come. Don't worry about it. But he is getting the carries, which is, the most important thing. He got 25 today. James Robinson, balling.
He's leading the rookie running backs in rushing yards right now, actually by 1.
Beautiful.
Over Jonathan Taylor. So I think that's awesome for him. He's someone that nobody drafted and was just one of the first waiver pickups off anywhere. Definitely someone who can be a league winner for some people this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very, very, very possible. He's having a great start to the year, and it should continue. Adam Humphries was the best or most fantasy relevant wide receiver on the Titans, other than Jonnu Smith. The tight end there with A.J. Brown out. Jonnu Smith, he's a tight end 1 through 2 weeks, which is nice. Cool to see.
Absolute baller.
Yeah.
Corey Davis was able to find the end zone this week, which was nice to see again. Last week he found his relevance through yardage. This week through the touchdown. So not necessarily touchdown reliant, but definitely someone who can find yourself some relevance. The Jaguars are filled with receivers who are flex options. Keelan Cole, DJ Chark, and Laviska are all players who found themselves in that, flex category. They all relevancy there. None of them really standing out too heavily, but all really decent plays. And someone that really, really, really looks great out there is Gardner Minshew himself. Someone I really love moving on through the year.
Yeah, he's going to be a great fantasy play, especially if you're streaming quarterbacks or if he's your second quarterback in a 2-quarterback league.
You're great.
Perfect. Moving on, Cardinals, Washington football team. It was pretty ugly. It was pretty ugly there for a bit. Kyler Murray doing Kyler Murray things, having a great fantasy day, 2 rushing touchdowns. 1 interception and 1 passing touchdown. Kenyon Drake, very quiet day. He did put up 86 yards on the ground, though, which was nice. He just didn't get into the end zone. And Chase Edmonds he didn't have as much of an impact this week as he did the following. DeAndre Hopkins found himself in the end zone, 68 yards. And then Larry Fitzgerald, 7 targets, 7 receptions. Old trusty Rusty over there. And I think that wide receiver 2 on that team is going to rotate each week. Andy Isabella had a pretty solid day. He had a couple long catches. And then Zane Gonzalez, the kicker. If you're in a kicker league, grab him if he's on the waiver because he's a baller. Antonio Gibson found the end zone, which was nice, got him above that double-digit point total. And then Terry McLaurin balled out. We saw him, Scary Terry, 125 yards and a touch. Beautiful.
Pretty much all that you can ask for from him at that situation. Moving on to our Ravens versus the Texans, something a lot of people were looking forward to. Deshaun Watson going against Lamar Jackson. Neither of them actually turned out to be that great of fantasy quarterbacks this week. Lamar Jackson throwing for 204 yards, only rushing for 54, while Deshaun Watson threw for 275, finding the end zone once and rushing for 17 himself. David Johnson was an absolute dud this week, only rushing for 34 yards. Mark Ingram emerged as the running back one for that team this week. J.K. Dobbins only went 2 carries for 48 yards, not getting into the end zone, while Mark Ingram was able to run 9 times for 55 yards while going 22 yards through the air. Marquise Brown continues to be
boomer bust.
Disappointing. Last week he got 15 points, which is okay. It's a solid flex play. You only drafted him to be a wide receiver 2 or a flex receiver. You didn't draft him as a 1, but not getting those huge booms that you could have expected. Pretty much the only fantasy relevant players on the Ravens for you. But being shut down by the Ravens, it seems like Brandon Cooks is the only one that was able to do anything for you for Houston. Even Deshaun Watson looking really terrible out there. And that's pretty much it for that team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If you listened to us, though, the day before Friday's episode, you would have heard fade the Texans. Chiefs, Chargers, another nail-biter. Harrison Butker hit 3 game-winning field goals because of a timeout, a penalty, and then had to hit it again. Pat Mahomes put up a solid fantasy day, over 30 points in a 4-point league. And Justin Herbert, nobody started him, I'm assuming. If you did, good on you. But 25 points in a 4-point league. Clyde Edwards had a pretty quiet day. He didn't get the same amount of carries that he did in the week before, but he did get more receptions, which is nice to see him getting involved in that passing game a little bit. Austin Eckler and Josh Kelly split the workload. Actually, Josh Kelly out-carried Austin Eckler, but Austin Eckler had 93 rushing yards, and Josh Kelly had 64. And then, like we said at the beginning, Keenan Allen, 96 yards. They need to keep Justin Herbert in, and this offense will flourish, at least fantasy-wise. And then Tyreek Hill, great day overall, 99 yards and a touchdown. Can't beat that. And then, of course, Travis Kelce doing Travis Kelce things. Yeah. So Hunter Henry also had a good day. He just didn't get in the end zone. 6 receptions for 83 yards. I'd take that for a tight end.
Yeah, I really do like the Chargers offense when Justin Herbert's in there. It was nice to see them actually all those players be relevant. But for the Sunday night game, something else that was absolute nail biter actually went down to the last play. We've got 2 of the best quarterbacks in the league this year right now, and it's going to be Cam Newton for going against Russell Wilson. Cam Newton going for 397 yards, throwing 1 touchdown, carrying the ball for 47 yards, and getting to the end zone twice for himself. Russell Wilson, 288 yards, 5 touchdowns. Did throw an interception. It was a pick 6 to start the game out, and running for 39 yards. Both of them lighting up the field. Extremely, extremely great days. Chris Carson getting another receiving touchdown into the end zone. Great for him. Great for anyone that was playing him. Did carry the ball 17 times. Got 72 yards, which is really decent, really good actually. Not the best yards per carry, but very, very solid for that team. Helped them get that win. Julian Edelman had himself a day. 178 yards on 8 catches.
It was his highest receiving record or total.
Yeah. Really helped the Patriots get downfield. Especially in the type of game script they were in where they were playing from just barely behind with the game finishing on them. N'Keal Harry get himself 72 yards as well. And as well as the Seahawks, DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, great games. Tyler Lockett getting 67 yards and a touchdown, while DK Metcalf got 92 yards and 1 touchdown on a nice little long bomb for him.
54-yard touchdown.
And both tight ends didn't really do too much. They were really both teams just trying to get downfield and score points. So it was great for all fantasy or relevant players. But absolutely loved the game. I would have been great to see Cam Newton get in the end zone on that last play.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I'm glad it ended the way it did, but I do like the fact that Cam's balling because he is a baller. Now, getting into Monday night's game, just finished. Raiders upset the Saints. Nice. Derek Carr, respectable day, fantasy-wise. He did have a fumble, but he did pass for 3 touchdowns as well. So, that's pretty solid for him, and didn't lose his cool, which was nice. Josh Jacobs ran the ball and ran the ball and ran the ball. 27 times he ran the ball for 88 yards. Drew Brees, very quiet day as well, or very quiet day. Did not look like Drew Brees out there, to be honest.
Just unable to find the end zone. I mean, he did throw for 312 yards, throwing the ball 26 times, or 38 times, but letting Alvin Kamara just run into the end zone twice, get those touchdowns. But Alvin Kamara himself got his 13 carries, 79 yards on the ground, and 99 catches for 9 targets, going for 95 yards, looking like an absolute beast without Michael Thomas there. And someone that else is looking like a beast without him there is going to be Tre'Quan Smith, emerging, showing himself to be a talented wide receiver, someone who's just finding himself there. 5 catches on 7 targets for 86 yards. Just needs to get in the end zone with that big body.
Yeah. Yep. That's all he needs. That is all he needs. Emmanuel Sanders, very quiet day, and the rest of the Raiders receiving core was pretty quiet as well. But who wasn't quiet was Darren Waller. 103 yards and a touchdown. Solid fantasy finish for him. I mean, he's really Derek Carr's best target currently. So I'd continue to expect some, maybe not these numbers, but close to him throughout the year. He dominated last year, and he is on path to do so again. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, let's move into our waiver wire pickups of the week. You want me to start first, John?
Yeah, you start them out first.
All right. Well, we will get to these real quick. Just a couple people we think that you need to be targeting on those waivers to either help you this week or down the line. My first waiver pickup this week, week 2, is Myles Gaskin. Myles Gaskin. He is only owned in 13% of leagues, and he's averaging 5.4 yards per attempt, which is ridiculous. He's the best on the Dolphins. And when you watch him on the field, he is by far the best back on the field between Breida, Jordan Howard, and Patrick Laird. So, was it Patrick Laird? Yeah. And so he also leads the team in rushing attempts, and he also leads the running backs in targets as well. He's had 11 targets through 2 games, which is great to see that he's getting involved in the passing game. He's leading the team in rushing attempts, and he's averaging 5.4 per carry. So pick him up. He's great to have on the bench, and I think that we'll see him emerge as potentially has the opportunity to emerge as the not the bell cow, but a heavier workload down the road.
Yeah. Moving on, next guy you're going to really want to be targeting this week, and for possibly the next 3 to 4 weeks to be that number easily starting running back for you is going to be Jerick McKinnon, currently owned 19.1% of leagues. We saw last week he only rushed the ball 3 times, but is able to get 77 yards. And without Raheem Mostert or Tevin Coleman there, he's going to be getting the workload there. You also have Jimmy G down. As long as some of the defensive players, they are all going to be running the ball and just trying to end games. So I think that he's going to be getting a hell of a lot of work and someone you're going to want to be picking up. He is going to be highly contested, so you're going to want to be spending a little bit of FAAB budget on him. If you need a running back, you're going to be wanting to spend possibly 20%, just trying to pick him up and getting him on your roster.
Yeah, definitely. Oh, yes, I forgot. We did not talk about FAAB for Myles Gaskin. I'd spend 5% of my FAAB budget on Myles Gaskin just to pick him up and have him approximately. So, moving. Are you finished with Jerick?
Yeah, Jerick's good.
Okay, moving on. Russell Gage. He's only owned in 20.2% of leagues. And as of right now, as it stands, half-point leagues, he is the wide receiver 14. That is a pass-first offense. Julio Jones is banged up a bit. And he has got 21 targets through 2 games. That's second most on the team. Only Calvin Ridley has more. Calvin has 22. And like I said, with Julio banged up, I think he's going to, at least for the next week or 2, see the same amount of targets. We did see Hayden Hurst get involved in the offense, but I do think that Russell Gage will stay relevant and give you those flexible weeks. Pick him up. I mean, he's a wide receiver 14 already. I mean, it's crazy. And he's still on 80% of waivers. So pick him up.
Yeah, absolutely. So someone else you're going to want to be picking up off your waivers actually is going to be Tre'Quan Smith, in my opinion. Like mentioned before, he looked to be the Saints' number one receiver without Michael Thomas there. They did not look to go to Emmanuel Sanders. He was a dud this week. They didn't
one catch.
They went to Jared Cook for one catch in the end zone. But between Alvin Kamara and Tre'Quan Smith, that looks to be where the Saints are going to be moving their ball. He's only owned in 17% of leagues. Able to go 86 yards on 5 catches for 7 targets tonight. So I do think he's someone that's going to be getting a lot of work and going to be a really solid flex play for you, especially on easy matchups.
Mm-hmm, definitely. Josh Kelly only owned in 27%. 27.9% of leagues. He currently is tied with Austin Eckler for the most attempts on this team. He's got 35. So does Austin. He outcarried Austin Eckler this week. He wasn't as efficient, but I do think he is going to. There's going to be a split backfield. So pick him up. Great person to have. If Austin Eckler goes down, he will be that team's number one, hands down, and he could jump ranks. And you want to grab him now before he's, before it's too late. I would spend, to grab Josh Kelly, I'd say about the same, maybe 5 to 10%, because he's going to be a bigger name out there than Myles Gaskin. So anywhere in between that 5 to 10% FAAB budget range.
Yeah, something I like about Josh Kelly a lot is that with them going back to Tyrod this week, a lot of people might be fainting away from him just because they just didn't move the ball with him there. But it does look like they're going to be moving to Herbert, and when Herbert's there, it's going to be really great for him. So it'd be a great stash for later in the season. Mm-hmm. But another person you guys want to be picking up just because of what's going on, Darrell Henderson. He's owned in 44% of leagues, but that does mean if he's there and you are any need of running back, you're going to want to be spending money on him. I would definitely go up to about 20% on him. With Cam Akers possibly coming back injured, if playing at all, and Malcolm Brown not being able to really look as efficient as Darrell Henderson did last week, I love the fact that Darrell Henderson's going to at least have a handful of standout weeks for you and can be a really great waiver pickup for the next handful of weeks.
Yeah, we're actually in a league that John and I are in. We're actually going to be spending a lot more than 20% just because of our situation. We have Christian McCaffrey and Raheem Mostert, so they both went down. I'm not going to tell you how much because if you're a listener and you're listening, it's in the listener league. So, but depending upon your situation, you can go above these values. My next waiver wire pickup this week is N'Keal Harry, currently owned in 39.6% of leagues. Cam, we saw it last night. With time, Cam is a very accurate quarterback, and that can be a pass-heavy offense if needed. It's not just run first there. And we saw that last night. He does have currently N'Keal Harry has a 29% target share there, which is tied for most on the team, which is what you want in a receiver. And he hasn't gotten in the end zone yet this year, but he will. It will come. Pick him up while you can and spend. I mean, he just had a great week. He put up 86 yards, I believe, around that spot. So people are going to be targeting him. After seeing how they played last night, I'd 10 to 15% on him. I mean, I think he's going to be a great receiver down the line. So pick him up.
And then someone you might not want to spend too much FAAB budget on, maybe 5% at most, KJ Hamler in deeper leagues. He's 1.1% owned, which is super sneaky. But with Cortland Sutton out and Hamler finally healthy, I do think that the Judy-Hamler combo is going to be really effective, even if they do have Jeff Driscoll there. Personally, I remember I watched Jeff Driscoll play in college when I was up in Gainesville, and I just loved watching him. I think he's a really good quarterback. He did do really well against Pittsburgh. So I still think that he's going to have some relevance through these couple weeks that Drew Lock is going to be out and not someone that's just going to fade while they're working with the backup.
And they did like little touch passes to KJ Hamler and stuff like that. They want to get the ball into his hands because he is a playmaker.
He's fast. He's a yards after catch receiver who just needs it in his hands in just a couple breaks, and you go for 80 yards.
And that's what they're going to try to do is get the ball into his hands, especially with their current situation. So pick him up if you're in a deeper league. I wouldn't. We're not saying he's going to be a flex option, week one, but he's more of a long-term play.
Deeper leagues, yeah.
But could be very sneaky. But moving on, let's go to our streaming options before we let you guys go. A couple guys we each have a tight end, a quarterback, one flex player, and a defense that you guys could be streaming this week. My first stream is Ryan Tannehill, quarterback for the Tennessee Titans. He just put up a solid week against the Jags. The Vikings have looked very sluggish. They have injuries on defense, and Tannehill's only 34.5% owned. Now, after the week he had, he's going to be targeted, especially with this matchup. So, you're going to have to spend up probably between that 15 to 20% in FAAB. And if you're on a waiver order system, I would spend, and you don't have another quarterback, I would spend my first waiver pick on him. So pick him up. I think he's a great streaming option this week.
All right, guys, your league winner this week is going to be Minshew Mania coming into Miami in your Thursday night game. He's only owned in 19.5% of games. Miami has allowed the third most amount of points to the quarterback through the first 2 weeks. Byron Jones is out. Looking week to week, with the amount of receivers that Minshew has on the field, that he has been able to make relevant as long as their running game to open up that middle of the field for him. Minshew's on a hot streak and is someone who just runs on swag, kind of like Baker in his rookie season. As that swag continues, they just ball and ball, but as soon as they hit that wall, it's when it ends. So I'm writing him out as long as I can on this. 75% completions through his career at this point, averaging 3 touchdowns for 250 yards per game, and he has thrown for 2 or more touchdowns on 11 of his 15 starts so far in the NFL. I think he's someone who's going to be an absolute baller and just is going to continue to ride it out.
Yeah, I think you definitely continue to ride that hot hand. He could, especially with the depleted Dolphins secondary, I think that he could be in for a solid day. But my next stream is going to be my tight end position, and I love Logan Thomas this week. I know I wasn't on the Logan Thomas train last week, but I am this week, and you know why? Because he's playing the Browns. They've given up the second most points to tight ends, the 5th most yards, and the 2nd most touchdowns to tight ends as well. He's only owned in 11% of leagues. Logan Thomas has also, through the first 2 weeks, had 26.5% of target share, and that is tied with Terry McLaurin on his team, who's that team's wide receiver 1. And they run the ball the majority of the time inside the red zone. However, Haskins' one pass inside the 10 did go to Logan Thomas for a touchdown in week 1. So pick Logan Thomas up if he's on your waivers. Like I said, he's owned in 11% of leagues, so 89% of leagues he is not owned in. Pick him up, stream him. I think he's in for a solid week.
Yeah, my tight end pick of the week, someone who's not going to be as freely owned this week coming into it, is going to be Jonnu Smith. He's going at 40% owned at the moment. More than likely going to be someone who's going to be heavily picked up in this waiver batch. So if you're going for him, this is someone I'd be comfortable spending about 30 to 40% picking up, because I do think he's going to be an extremely relevant player throughout the season. Currently, before Darren Waller's yards and stats have been added into it, he's finishing just above Travis Kelce in a half-point PPR league. So I think that he's definitely worth that FAAB budget, and especially if A.J. Brown misses any more games this week or any more games this year, going to be an absolute baller and somebody you're going to want to be spending that on.
Even with Darren Waller's stats, they're in. He's still number one.
Oh, perfect. So definitely, obviously going to want to be streaming the number 1 tight end into the league. So if he's available, you're going to want to be grabbing him. Just keep going for it. This week they're going to be playing against the Vikings, who personally haven't played against any super talented tight end backfield or offenses yet, but they still found themselves as the ranked 14th best to play against as the tight end. So with the talent of Jonnu Smith there, I think it's going to be a breakout great week for him.
I'm going to pick him up right now, John. Anyways, moving on to it's kind of funny because we're targeting the similar games. My waiver or my flex option, my flex stream of the week is Keelan Cole versus the Finns. Similar to what we said about Minshew, Byron Jones is hurt. Keelan Cole is leading the team in targets. Finns have given up the third most points this year to wide and in the first two games to wide receivers. So it's not a great matchup for the Dolphins. You want Keelan Cole in your lineup. Gardner Minshew likes throwing him the ball. He's not going to have Xavier Howard on him. More than likely, it's going to be Noah Igbenogany or Nick Needham. And they showed last week they weren't very good, or didn't play very good. So pick up Keelan Cole. He's a solid flex option this week.
So going on to my first flex option, and as we've been talking, I'm actually going to be grabbing Marquez Valdes-Scantling, and that is because I do think that Devontae Adams, even though his injury wasn't very severe, if he comes into the game at all, it's going to be possibly limited, and they're going to be playing against, I believe it's the Saints this week, meaning that it's going to be a high-scoring, pass-heavy game again with Aaron Rodgers there. Marquez Valdes-Scantling has proven to be the number 2 receiver for the Green Bay Packers, being the number 2 targeted person. So if Devontae Adams comes back in any sort of limited role, if or out at all, I think MVS is going to have himself an amazing game, and it's only owned in a handful of leagues. I don't have it in front of me.
Who's that?
He's actually owned 17.2% of leagues at the moment, so he should be a pretty easy person to pick up and someone you want to be targeting pretty well. Mm-hmm. The Saints have given up 280 yards to the Raiders tonight through the air.
Wow.
So
it's a lot.
The Raiders.
Yeah.
So I think he's in for a great day.
And then finally, my defensive stream of the week is the Titans versus the Vikings. I like the Titans this week. The Vikings have been struggling to get it together, especially in their passing offense. They rank 31st in attempts and 32nd in yards, I believe. And they do have a solid rushing game, which is one thing that the Titans struggle with. However, I do think they will be able to turn the ball over, and I think the Vikings will continue to struggle. They're only owned in 35.5% of leagues, so pick them up, stream them if you have to.
Yeah. My defense for you guys is going to be the Browns. They're playing against the Washington football team, the team with no name, and their secondary should really have no problem, especially handling the dwindled Washington offensive line. Brandon Sharif is out for the next few weeks, so should be pretty bad for Dwayne Haskins back there. I do think they're going to be able to shut them down pretty heavily. They're currently owned only in 9% of league, but that's kind of due to them playing the Ravens in week 1, which really hurt them because they got destroyed and mollywopped. But just like their offense had a huge comeback last week, I think their defense is going to have a great comeback show-out week this week. And should be no problem for you guys to pick up and make a great streaming option for a defense.
Yeah, could be. Definitely. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, before we get to our beer of the day, I just want to let you know I did lose to John this week. Wasn't pretty on either end. Logan,
a win is a win.
Logan Thomas and OJ Howard bet. Neither of them showed up to the game. Logan actually put on some shoes. OJ just sat on the bench. So wasn't pretty, but I'll give it to John. He won this week. So it is 2-1 with the Wheel of Failure. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into our beer of the day. Love it, love it, love it. We are drinking the Miami Weiss Hefeweizen style ale from Miami Beer Company. Pretty, like we were talking about, pretty dope can, pinks and blues, 80 kind of retro themed. At the top of it, it says Bienvenido a Miami. So pretty cool Spanish right there. I kind of know
it.
Yeah, and this Hefeweizen is year round. It is their number one flagship beer. So if you've seen Miami or MIA Beer Company, then you've probably seen the Miami Weiss, kind of like the play off the Miami Vice kind of.
Oh, it's clever.
That's what it is, like
No.
the Miami Heat jerseys, baby. But they were founded in 2015. They kind of like a retro-y, even their website, mia.beer. It's all retro, bright colors, really neat. You can go to their tap room too. They have a tap room in Miami. Let's see. I'm sorry, my computer just refreshed, but it's in where is? I just lost it. Oh, there it is. In Doral, Florida, over off Northwest 33rd Street. If you're in that area, stop by, say hi, pick up a couple beers, have some drinks, and enjoy the atmosphere.
Yeah, it's actually a really, really great Hefeweizen coming out of Doral for you guys. Coming in at a 6% ABV and a 13.7 IBU. Getting down to the percentage on these IBUs now. But really, really sweet, very, very sweet aftertaste on that nice weedy, bready, yeasty flavor. It's really, really sweet and palatable. Comes in heavily with that wheat flavor again. Very, very fruity on the nose. Definitely some like banana, or even some like maybe some.
I get some banana in there.
Definitely some banana in there. I really, really did enjoy this. It went down really quick. If you're someone that's not really into like the wheat flavor, this is a great one for you, just because it's not too heavy on that, and that backbone of that sweetness really cuts it out. The hops that in this are the Palisade, and it's malted with a pale malt and a white wheat to give it that nice little cool, sweet flavor and that nice little calm taste on your tongue.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good beer overall. If you're in any of these areas, you can pick them up. They obviously Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, Maryland, Pennsylvania. They are also going to be coming to Rhode Island soon. But if you're across the pond in Sweden, you can pick it up. You can find it. It's also in the Dominican Republic, St. Martin, Honduras. But check out their website. Like I said, mia.beer. Click on the beers button. You can also click the beer finder right there, and it will tell you where you can pick this beer up. John, I'm gonna have to give it an 8.6.
An 8.6? Wow.
I like it a lot.
Okay, good for you. You know what? Good on you, my MIA Beer Company. He's been really stingy with his rankings, so nice to see it. I'm not going to be that gracious, but I'm going to give it an 8.1. It is a really, really nice, really, really good beer, but it's not my style. Definitely one of our top beers that we've had, though. Really, really great.
Yep, and that's probably why it's their flagship beer.
Yeah, they did good. But thank you guys so much for coming and joining us for another week. It was an insane week of football this year. Can't wait to see what's going to happen in week 3. Got a lot of games coming forward. We're going to be starting you guys off next week with some, Thursday night preview where we got the Dolphins playing against the Jags. Going to see that Minshew mania go off. I think as well we're going to be giving you guys some
trade targets.
Yeah, some trade targets.
We're going to be talking trades. Sorry, I put it all on my phone. Thursday's episode, we're going to have obviously our injury news. We're also going to be doing trade targets, who we want to trade for, who we want to trade away. We're also going to be talking about some droppable players, maybe people who aren't living up to the hype, i.e. Matt Breida. And then, of course, a Thursday night preview, and then must starts of the week. Will probably be Thursday, either Thursday or Friday. Got to make sure. Time limit.
We got time for that. But again, keep an eye out for our Kenny Golladay post that's going to be coming out tomorrow. How you guys can see how you guys can win it and bring it home to you. It's not going to be a season-long thing. It's going to be a giveaway. Just going to have to do something for us. It's going to be nice, simple, and easy for you. Really hope it comes in soon because I'd love to show it on the video for you guys, for anyone that's watching on YouTube. But make sure you guys are looking at the Fantasy Tap on Twitter and Instagram. And if you guys want to send us an email for any of your beer reviews, any fantasy football questions, you can do the fantasytap@gmail.com, where we'll help you guys out with anything. We did do pretty well getting to everyone on Twitter and Instagram. this Sunday. So again, we're going to be doing that for you.
Mm-hmm.
So just make sure you guys keep tuning in and reaching out to us with whatever you got.
Yep, we will be here. We love you guys. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we will see you on Thursday.
Thank you.